Hi, my name is Glen Roy Mathew. I'm a cloud computing professional and an independent researcher specializing in cloud migration. In the next 10 minutes, I want to show you why cloud migration is harder and more expensive than it needs to be, and a framework for solving it. Three numbers that should make every CIO uncomfortable. 38% of cloud migrations exceed their budget, not because the teams aren't skilled, because hidden problems surface too late. Dependencies nobody documented. Compliance gap nobody caught before go live. 67% of organizations discover their compliance failures only after the migration is complete. Fixing a violation now costs 3 to 5 times what it would have cost to prevent it. And organizations pay an average of $15 million a year for poor data quality. All three problems trace back to the same structural flaw. Governance is treated as something you do after the migration. That model breaks when migration runs at automation speed, and that is exactly the gap this framework closes. The research is structured as three papers that build on each other deliberately. Paper 1 sets up the why and the what. Why automation first migration is necessary and what the core architecture looks like. And paper 2 opens the hood. It deconstructs the key technical component, the real-time assessment engine, into its 5 operating layers. And paper 3 adds the piece the industry is missing: comprehensive embedded data governance running in lockstep with migration automation. Together, they describe a single end-to-end system. And this is a visual treat of an automation first end-to-end cloud migration approach that combines real-time assessment, intelligent governance, and security to drive efficiency while minimizing risk and complexity. Migration programs fail for 5 reasons: slow manual discovery, 7-figure rework cost, hidden dependencies nobody documented, governance that always runs weeks behind, and a one size fits all strategy that ignores what each workload actually needs. Every one of those is a process problem and not a technology problem. The 4-pillar solution addresses all of this simultaneously. The assessment engine eliminates the manual discovery phase. The automated decision framework stops the one size fits all problem. Infrastructure as code means compliant infrastructure is provisioned correctly the first time. And orchestrated execution with CI/CD and automated rollback eliminates the downtime risk. The engine is the analytical core of everything. Think of it as 5 layers running in sequence. Layer 1 is data collection. Lightweight agents capture infrastructure metadata, application configurations, network flows, and current security and compliance state. And layer 2 is topology mapping. The engine builds a live map of how every component connects. It uncovers the undocumented dependencies that cause mid-migration failures. And layer 3 is AI and ML analysis. A rules-based layer checks compatibility issues. And then machine learning classifies workloads, predict cost and performance, and flags risk. Layer 4 is simulation. Before anything moves, workloads are replicated in the target cloud and tested under load. And bottlenecks and compliance gaps show up here and not in production. And layer 5 is reporting. Readiness scores, migration plans, cost projections, everything are delivered to both technical teams and leadership. And the result is what used to take 6 to 12 weeks now takes just 4 to 8 hours, accelerating every phase that follows. Now, we have established that automation dramatically speeds up migration. But speed without embedded governance creates a new category of risk. When a CI/CD pipeline is provisioning infrastructure at automation speed, it does not stop to ask, Is this EU citizen data in a geographically compliant region? Or is this healthcare database encrypted to the HIPAA standard? Or does this financial records have a 7-year SOX retention policy? No. These are things that human governance teams used to handle manually on a timeline measured in weeks. When migration happens in hours, that timeline does not work, and the consequences are predictable. Compliance blind spot, data quality degradation, lifecycle management failures, security vulnerabilities. All 4 failure modes arise from the same structural problem. Governance treated as sequential rather than embedded. And that is what the third paper solves. The governance framework is a closed loop, 4 components each feeding the next. First, the discovery engine classifies every data asset before migration begins. Machine learning assigns each one a compliance profile, encryption standard, access control, geographic residency, etc. And that profile drives everything downstream. And second, the migration orchestrator embeds those requirements directly into the infrastructure code automatically. Non-compliant deployments are blocked at the pipeline gate before they even execute. And third, the compliance monitor replaces the quarterly audit with real-time surveillance, continuous data quality checks, ML-based anomaly detection, catching unusual access patterns as they happen. And fourth, the remediation engine responds based on risk. Low-risk violations are fixed automatically in minutes. High-risk violations trigger immediate quarantine and DPO notification with a full audit artifact generated. The full loop runs without human intervention. Now, let me share what this looks like across 3 real enterprise deployments. At a global investment bank, compliance validation time dropped from 18 months to 3 weeks, a 96% reduction. That is not an incremental improvement, a structural shift. Total cost avoidance in avoided fines and rework is $47 million. In healthcare, patient data matching errors drop from 12% to 0.3%, a 96% improvement in accuracy. In e-commerce, GDPR erasure request processing went from 45 days to 4 hours. And here's the key number, $340 million in additional annual revenue attributed to improved data quality. Yes, on an average, 83% faster provisioning and 74% average reduction in post-migration compliance violations across all deployments. Now, let me make the practical shift concrete with a direct comparison. Sequentially, the governance runs after migration. With this framework, it runs before the first resources provisioned. Instead of quarterly compliance audits, you have continuous real-time monitoring. And instead of days or weeks of manual processes, violations are remediated in minutes or hours. Instead of 4 to 6 weeks of evidence preparation before each audit cycle, the framework generates structured audit artifacts continuously, and you are always ready. And instead of a post-migration cleanup project, data quality is validated as a continuous pipeline predicate. And the governance team effort shifts from 75% manual to under 15% manual within 12 months. That is not an efficiency gain. It is fundamentally different operating model. I will leave you with this. The cloud migration challenge enterprises facing today are not a technology problem. When you change the architecture, everything improves. Speed, quality, cost, compliance, and team efficiency all move in the same direction at the same time. Thank you.